Hello, this is Ben from Ben's Kitchen and Garden, and today I am showing a super easy ciabatta formation. You can see how active this dough is. It's wonderful. It's super bubbly, and I had it sit out yesterday for about 12 hours and put it in the fridge for another roughly 12 hours. So this is ready to go, and ciabatta is becoming one of my favorite things to make because it's just so low maintenance, easy, it's interesting, and it's delicious. But the part that's really fun about it is the forming it, because you try to touch it as little as you possibly can, so you keep that open crumb structure, and also just the shape of a traditional ciabatta looks a certain way. So you can see this is going to deflate when I pour it out here, which is totally fine. But what I'm going to do is try to get it so that it comes out of the bowl and almost a little bit of a, not my best. But you try to get it so it comes out of the bowl in a little bit of a rectangle. I'm just going to move my camera slightly, but this looks like pretty good, actually. It's not bad. Put some flour down. Now, the key to remember with ciabatta is that this side is going to be the bottom, and this side underneath here is going to be the top. So we do everything flipped. And I like to do a little bit of cornmeal. This is just regular yellow cornmeal on the bottom of the dough, and then more on my sheet tray. Now, if I was working on making this the absolute best ciabatta, no reservations, not holding anything back, I would just bake it right on my baking stone. But because of convenience and ease of cleaning and all of that, not smoking out my kitchen or having some disaster loading the oven, I like to just actually put it on a sheet tray like this, and then I just slide that whole sheet tray in the oven. I steam it pretty heavily, the oven as well, which I'll show once I get into the oven. But it makes it so that it's just really, really easy. So you can see all I did was pour it out. You can still see a ton of fermentation activity on it. And then all I'm going to do is cut it into strips like this. You can see how loose and wet this dough is with my plastic bench scraper there. You can see that. And there we go. Okay. And I just cut them into squares. And I need a little bit of flour on my hands. This dough is really, really sticky. I pick it up, and then I turn it over, and I set it down. And yeah, it's a little bit funky shape, but that's kind of the fun of it. And that really is not unusual for ciabatta. I can see it's just sticking just a little bit more than I would like. I probably should have put a little bit more flour down. So that becomes the top, and they just sit like that. So you can see here, well, you can kind of see here, there we go, that this side has the cornmeal on it, and then I flip it and I put it down. And I'm trying to maintain a smooth top on there. I'm not doing the best job right now, but I think it'll be easier once I get a few of these going. And then I just sit like that on the sheet tray. So I'll try it one more time here. There we go. Second row is a lot less stuck. Looks like that. And I just cut it into my bun size, and away we go. So I'm going to need 2 sheet trays here. But you can see that there's no real trick to formation. There's nothing about the shaping. I know I've done a few shaping videos on here, but they'll just sit like that. Those are a little goofier than I would like, but that's just how ciabatta looks at times. Super wet dough, super, super active fermentation. I'll set this over here for now. Put a little bit more cornmeal down. A little bit more on this. I can see it's absorbing some of it. I like cornmeal. I actually like the texture a lot, but I also like it because it doesn't smoke and it doesn't burn. So it makes it so I can withstand the high heat. And there you go. Those are some decent ones. I just have this last strip here. So ciabatta is awesome as a roll like this, but it's also really fun to just spread it out and do one big ciabatta loaf, where you basically just flip that bowl up and then put it in the oven, which is really fun. And I'll just do one big one at the end here. And that is it. So now these will just sit like this, and I'll probably go for another half an hour and put them in the oven. One of the keys here is that not to move them or disrupt them at all, so that fermentation builds up again and you get that open crumb. And then the last part is, like I was saying earlier, just to steam the oven like crazy so you get a nice puff in the oven. And they'll actually just kind of puff and rise, you know, almost like a pita or something. And then they'll form this really thin, crisp crust, which is delicious. So there you go. That's ciabatta rolls. This is live action bread making. These are not the prettiest, but they'll do. And they'll be delicious. I will show you the oven and the final product in about half an hour. Okay, so this is how I have my oven set up. And if you look, this is probably noisy because I have this kettle of boiling water going as well, which I will add to this down here, which is this cast iron pan that I have a towel put in. I started doing this and I really like the wet towel in there, and you can see how much steam that's generating already. So I will load the ciabatta and all that off camera just for safety, and then I will add that boiling water directly down there once they're all in and quickly close the oven. But this just generates a ton of steam right away, which is super important. All right, so this is the ciabatta. It's pretty fresh out of the oven, and actually you can see how soft it is. I probably over steamed it, which is crazy to think about because that's hard to get enough steam. But you can see the sort of pale exterior, which is not unreasonable for ciabatta. You can see all that cool fermentation down the bottom because remember we didn't touch it or anything. A little bit of cornmeal as well. And I kind of popped it when I was pulling it off the sheet tray. But this is super, super, super just fluffy soft. I'll slice it open here and we'll see how that looks as well. But, you know, as it sits, it's going to harden up, and that's kind of where you want that to be. This is still a little bit warm, which I just can't resist, especially for this video. Let's see if I can do this on live TV here. And woo! Okay, so I did a terrible job cutting this, but you have to just pretend here for a second that this isn't so warm. Oh, it smells so good. So you can see you get all this fermentation in there, and some nice whole wheat in here as well. And then you just get this like wonderful kind of like holy crust that's kind of spongy, and the crust on the exterior is super, super thin, which is ideal. And as it cools off and sets up a little bit more, you will get a nice crunchy crisp bite, and then this super soft custardy interior. So you can see all that fermentation is just wide open there, outside these little bits here that I ripped when I was pulling it open. But just the smell, I mean, this is extra sourdough starter and let it ferment for 24 hours and just all these features that you love, and just such a minimal amount of work. So I highly recommend trying it. And even if it's like, okay, I made a few mistakes, whatever, this is not exactly my perfect ciabatta, it's still delicious, and it just requires so little and you get so much out of it. So there you go. There's a ciabatta bun, whole wheat, sourdough, all that. And I am going to enjoy the other dozen or so thoroughly. Thanks for watching.